Hey everyone, we are back live here in downtown Chicago, Illinois at the intersection of Ashland and Maple, right in front of Union Park, where this rally and march began at about 4 p.m. and it's about 7:30 right now.
There's something that's more important than what
so
you're doing with right
sorry
now.
about that.
You see, you have
A Christian extremist person just turned on their speaker, and now they're speaking on the sidewalk where we were just standing. So yeah, we're in the road right now. There are thousands of people here protesting the Democratic National Convention in downtown Chicago, Illinois. There was a rally today that started at this park that we are at now, Union Park, and there was a march that went for a decent stretch. It went close to where the United Center is, which is where the Democratic National Convention is taking place. There are probably thousands of Palestinian flags being swayed and held around. It's incredibly loud here. Not only are there thousands of people, but they're using very loud speakers to try to make sure that the people inside the convention center can hear them.
Please continue moving. Do not stop. Thank you.
So yeah, it's been really loud here, but it's very intentional with the drums and all the speakers. That they have a pickup truck that has been carrying massive speakers, and they have speakers on like rollers and like carts, and so yeah, the march has been super loud all throughout the blocks that were marched, and the park that is right in front of the United Center, where this march went to. That is the same park that on Monday people split off from and walked toward the United Center and breached the fence and then went inside that barricaded road, and there were standoff between police for a little while there. So today, when this march arrived at that same park where the standoff happened, there didn't seem to be a break-off march because the police and other law enforcement barricaded the entire road, the entire park, with their bodies and vehicles, so there didn't even seem to be a way for anyone to attempt to do that today.
Counter-demonstrators in the park, though.
There were a handful of counter-demonstrators inside the park. We did see one Israel flag, but it was really just a handful that were visible. But so everyone just did that march, and the thousands of people are entering back into Union Park as we speak. If you're just tuning into our coverage, we've been live on and off since about 4 p.m. today, so you can go to our YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Twitch, or Twitter to see the other parts of the stream today. We also released some other coverage from earlier today. You can check out all of our coverage of the protests at the Democratic National Convention that started Monday. You can check all of that out at our website, unicornriot.ninja. So some of the massive speakers are heading right toward us right now. It's probably going to get really loud here in a second.
Killing children is his game.
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 Chicago draws the line. We stand up for Palestine.
We stand up for Palestine.
We stand up for Palestine.
So folks seem to be heading back toward the stage where the rally started. So from when the rally started until now, it's been about 3.5 times. Yesterday, we covered 2 different protests. One was a rally that started outside the Israeli consulate. The Israeli consulate is located inside the Accenture Towers, and inside there were a bunch of law enforcement. Outside, there were probably 1,000 different law enforcement officers in that surrounding area. At least 70 people were arrested while just trying to rally outside the Israeli consulate and march. And maybe about an hour or so at most into the march is when people started getting arrested. There were approximately 3 or 4 journalists, members of the press, who were arrested as well. And
we have a religion. They have no right to steal our religion. In fact, this is how we live together in peace prior to the Zionist occupation. This is what the rabbis pleaded with the United Nations. They said, we furthermore wish to express our definite opposition to a Jewish state in any part of Palestine. We'll continue this. We plead with the leaders. God gave you a lofty position. Don't soil it. Don't abuse it. Do what God wants. Do what's righteous. Do what's godly. And stand up and immediately stop that slaughter in Gaza. Stop the occupation that's causing a rift and turmoil in the world and end the service of blood.
Thank you so much. Based on where we are with the Democratic National Convention here, do you think the Democratic Party has some of the same thoughts of you to free Palestine and go against Zionism?
There's a very strong possibility that Kamala does hear and understand and feel the suffering of the people of Palestine. But it is quite clear that AIPAC and the other lobbyists of the Zionists are putting tremendous pressure on her, and she's a human being. She's feeling it. We hope that just like the apartheid, which was so blatantly criminal, was stopped. I mean, it's the Almighty that stopped it, but it was done by the grassroots that didn't let the politicians go on with that terrible crime, that she will feel the voice of the students and professors, tens of thousands of Jews together with Palestinians and people who are godly, people who look what we call human rights, we call godliness, and she will see that it has to immediately a cessation, a stop of the carnage of the killing in Gaza and the entire Palestine. The quagmire that we're in can be stopped with the removal of the impediment to peace, the ratification, the state of Israel that's a flawed, selfish, political endeavor.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Hey, how do you spell your name?
My name is, with God's help, Rabbi Yisrael David Weiss. That's Y-I-S-R-O-E-L. David is D-O-V-I-D. Weiss is W-E-I-S-S. Yisrael is the Hebrew pronunciation of Israel. They stole my name.
Okay. We appreciate your time. Thank
they're
you so much.
stealing more than just land, though,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So sorry. Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Free, free, free
Palestine. We're still in Chicago, Illinois, at Union Park. This massive march just got back to Union Park, where it began about 3.5 hours ago. We just heard from a Jewish man who was speaking, who is a part of this organization, nkusa.org, and they are here explaining how Judaism is actually, in fact, against Zionism if you go to the traditional and historic ways of Judaism. And so these signs say authentic rabbis always oppose Zionism and the state of Israel. I do believe these are rabbis, but I'm not 100% positive. That's why I didn't say it at first, but I do believe they are. And so it also says, Torah demands all Palestine be returned to Palestinian sovereignty. State of Israel, Israel in quotes, does not does not represent world Jewry. And the last line is, Judaism condemns the state of Israel and its atrocities, again with Israel in quotes, because these Jewish rabbis are again stating that the traditional historic way of Judaism is not in line with Zionism and the state of Israel. And so we are back here at Union Park. That march lasted about 3.5 hours. There are thousands of pro-Palestine, anti-DNC protesters. We're going to be speaking to this person here in a second.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm excellent.
What is your name and who are you with, if
Well,
you're with an organization?
Yeah, fair enough. My name is Gabriel Cornejo. I'm actually running for Congress right now, but I ran as the Democratic presidential candidate during this primary. So I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, but I'm out here, of course, because we want to see a ceasefire to happen and we want an arms embargo. Well, this is the moment to leverage that against the DNC, even though that's the party that I was running to be the head of. So this is why we're all here, right, to make sure that we get some action from the new nominee, that being Harris. And so I think our actions are speaking for us. What do you think about that?
Well, if you're running for Congress, you
Correct.
said.
Yes.
So if you get into Congress, what would you try to do as far as a ceasefire?
Yeah, so ultimately, as a member of Congress, I don't have much leverage other than the bully pulpit, right? So I'm here to recognize and make sure that there are candidates like myself that we're able to align to get that message out there. And if we have to take action, we'll have to uncover what that looks like entirely, because there's so many members of Congress, but you need to have people that are actively vocalizing what we want to have happen. And on behalf of the constituents, I'm going to continue to fight for us, because I think that America's gotten too expensive, and so my policies are predicated on trying to make America affordable again.
What's been going on inside the Democratic Party? Can you talk about how this has gone back and forth? Has anything changed in the last few months? Can you talk about the inside?
Sure. With respect to actions, I'll give you context. So because I ran for president, actively the party had taken measures to rig the primary for Biden. They kept us off the ballot in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee. I was left off the ballot in Massachusetts and Georgia and plenty of other states. These are all actions that are antithetical to the message that they push out, which is they want to protect democracy. So even when we had national debates, the Democratic Party didn't sanction any of those. But I was calling out Biden then because I knew that he was not mentally fit to lead this country. And so here we go, when he finally debated former President Trump, everybody else woke up to that. And so the actions that took place since that time was the Democratic Party rigged the nomination process in favor of Kamala Harris, because they changed the rules to require any challengers to her to get signatures from the delegates, yet they had control of the list of the contact information for the delegates. Therefore, none of us could actually challenge her because we hadn't any way to get in touch with those delegates. And then they did a virtual roll call and solidified Kamala Harris as the nominee with 0 votes. I got 71,000 votes in just a handful of ballots that I was able to get access onto. So do votes really matter? That's the question I've been proposing to everybody since this nomination came, or this anointment came for Kamala Harris.
Do you think the discussion is changing at all inside the Democratic Party compared to previous years?
Well, I would say that from a rhetoric standpoint, if we're talking about this subject specifically, yes, there's nice rhetoric. But I am a skeptic of Kamala Harris because we've seen her rhetoric during 2020 presidential primary, and then she walked back her positions. I'm more for action. Demonstrate, tell us and show us what you mean. If you're in favor of a ceasefire, we need you to say it with your chest.
And I guess, what have you said, so she's kind of, at least with the administration right now, the Biden administration,
yeah.
They, and it's been said today throughout the march and throughout the few days prior that Biden has said, ceasefire, but then, and there are discussions going on right now, but the outcome wouldn't actually be an official ceasefire.
Sure.
In effect.
Well, in the context of this race, right, who has had the leverage in all of this time, right? We are the big superpower. And so this bear hug tactic that Biden had deployed for Netanyahu, that was clearly and obviously the wrong move, and it's by design from my conclusion, right? Because ultimately, what have we resulted in? We've got thousands of lives that are already lost, hundreds that are being lost daily. At any time, at any point of time, we as a nation could have pulled the trigger to change the behavior of Israel, Netanyahu specifically, if we were just to back away. That can be done at any point in time. Other than doing that, you have to assess why that hasn't taken place. From my vantage, it's because of the money in politics, because those candidates, or even, excuse me, those representatives that are keeping their mouths closed, it's for a reason, because they know that the donors are going to affect their race. So they're playing politics rather than putting country first, like myself and several other presidential candidates.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Yes. So I would like to add the context. So I'm running for Congress now in Congressional 1st District in Nevada. The reason why I'm doing so is because for many Americans, we're only surviving from paycheck to paycheck. And I believe we deserve leadership for people like myself who are from the working class, who know what it's like to walk a mile in most of our people's shoes, right? And so I'm actively trying to advocate for things like getting money out of politics, universal health care, universal basic income, but also breaking up the monopolies that have taken control of our politicians by buying and bribing them. I've completely funded my campaign for the presidency, and currently I'm doing that for Congress, but I need your help and support in order to make effect change. So.
Well, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys covering all this.
Yeah.
Truthfully, what's your name?
Alex.
Alex, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Now Dean? Dan. Now thank you. This is how I can find this?
Yeah, unicornriot.ninja.
I'm sorry?
Unicornriot.ninja is our website.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate you being out here.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so we are live.
Okay. Have we been the whole? I think we have been.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
I just wanted to say hi. I know who you guys are. My name's Ripley.
Yeah.
Ripley, nice to
say
meet you.
anything?
Not particularly. I mean, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But
Thanks. All right, so there's still a bunch of people and protesters here at the park. It does seem like, I mean, it's really spread out right now, so it's hard to tell exactly how many people are still left over, but there's definitely probably at least 500 left over protesters at Union Park right now. There are plenty of police still on the road, bicycle police behind the line of police standing. That's on either side of the street, so there are at least 100 police officers that are visible right here. I actually see around the corner as well, there are police there. So yeah, there are hundreds of police around the perimeter of this park right now. There's at least one helicopter still flying around. It's a Chicago Police Department helicopter. Chicago got $75 million by the federal government to secure the city, basically, for the Democratic National Convention, and anything they bought for, like, as far as equipment or gear or any training they got in to protect the city from potential protests during this national convention, they get to keep all of that gear and equipment. So they got $75 million, and they're probably using some of that gear right now.
Let's switch to the backdrop that way. So you're gonna stand there. All right.
Yeah, so if you want, you can introduce yourself and say who you're with, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine, and you can just say why you're here today.
I'm a member of humanity, and I'm here with humanity because the Palestinian struggle is a struggle we're all going to be going through in these coming years. We're a small ruling elite occupying the whole world, is trying to conquer land, establish borders, establish property lines, and exploit all of us. Our land, our people, our families, our culture going away so a small group can make millions and millions and more dollars. And that's why I'm here, because that's inhumane and that's evil.
And what do you hope comes out from rallies like this and marches like this week?
To remind the people that all of the power that they alienate and project onto a politician, onto some idol, is within themselves. And humanity acting together is unstoppable numbers-wise. And these marches should remind people that maybe, just maybe, they should step outside of the doors they've been given and join the march in the streets and realize the power we all have together.
Do you have any?
Just how do you feel about what you've seen this week? All the security and the police, as well as the large turnouts. What's your takeaway from this whole setting?
It's very interesting how every time the people start moving freely and they start moving as one organized group, the police come over to establish more lines on this earth over where we can and can't walk, and if we walk too far, we get beaten with a stick. The cops show up when people start moving freely, and that's a universal message and a universal law.
So these have been really tough months, but do you have any reasons for hope? Is there any positive outcomes that you see in the horizon?
I have no reason to hope if humanity does not wake up and realize their own power as a human, working together as one. If that doesn't happen, we have no reason to hope. Our hope is within ourselves.
Is there anything else you want to add?
That's perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
While we were speaking with that individual, the police all chanted something together and then all turned in one uniform way, just like turned forward and waited for a few seconds, and now we're all marching in line. Very militarized what just happened there. So this is Chicago police, and Chicago police have actually been trained by the Israeli Defense Forces, also known as Israeli Occupation Forces. They are not the only national police agency that has been trained by the Israeli army and police. So that, I don't know, that was just very militarized, what just happened to the right there. But yeah, so now the police seem to be marching in line, going out to the east here. And yeah, so this rally and march, there's still some speakers happening.
They're moving bike police up.
But the crowd has dwindled. It is really spread out right now too, but it's definitely getting smaller. I think people have started to leave. So we do think maybe that was a shift change though, because bike police have actually started to move also, and there's just some switching happening, but it does seem to be dwindling down here. We'll move closer toward where the speakers are continuing right now. Again, this is Chicago, Illinois. This protest has been protesting the Democratic National Convention. Excuse me, sorry.
Look at us, like all these people.
Excuse me.
7-8 hours. They've been in the sun, and they're not violent. We are not violent. So when the cops attack us in the end of the day, when there's everybody leaving, there's only 10 people because they want to tell the world we're terrorists. Terrorism! It does not have a religion. It does not have a country. It does not have a face. It does not have a gender. Terrorism is a person who terrorizes you and trying to scare you. Trump say, if you elect Kamala said Trump is gonna screw you up. Trump the same thing, but we're not scared because we do not elect a person. A person supposed to be in charge of our country, of our life. So we're not gonna just because we're scared of Trump. We're not scared. We're not scared. Our tax money going to the Zionists. Our tax money going to the Zionists, and instead of paying for homeless people, and instead of paying for health care, and instead of paying for a student loan, they just send over $20 billion. I don't need to tell you guys. You know all these things. They just send more money. So Kamala, she tried to be nice now and tried to gather voices, okay? She's not doing anything right. She said from the beginning, Israel has the right to defend herself against children, against babies, against women, against people, civilian people. Israel could finish the resistance in one day, but you know what they want to do as a Palestinian? They want to take over Gaza and the West Bank. So when Oslo happened in the 90s, they gave Gaza and the West Bank by United Nations with the deal to that government. Now, the resistance, Hamas, and all the resistance in Palestine, they had an election. Who won the election in Gaza? Hamas. Who won the election in the West Bank? Is the PLO, okay? But what they want to do, they want to occupy back Palestine. We're not going to let them do that. We're not going to let them do that. A couple weeks ago, Netanyahu, he went to Washington, and there was over 1,000 cops they protecting a war criminal. 1,000 cops! They were protecting the war criminal. He's not our president. He's not one of us. He's a war criminal!
And the devil!
And a devil, and he was protected by the government. So, I'm not telling you who to elect. I can't tell you that. You're free. But you need to know that decision you make, do not be afraid if you elect someone that somebody else is going to be in charge. And this way, the voice is going to go. We make it in hell for 10 months for Biden. We're going to make it double the hell for you, Trump! If you do not fix your ass, because when we say the people united, will never be defeated. Look at all of us. Look at all of us. Different color, different gender, different religion, different people, all of us, but we all share one thing. We are the creation of God. We have the same feature. We have the right to live free. I'm a Palestinian, American, Arab, Muslim. I'm a human being. You're the same thing. We all have to live free. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's coming to election. If they don't do the right for our people here, they need to stop the aid to Israel, to the war criminal. They need to stop that aid right away. They need to use all the money in here. How many homeless people, when you're walking around and you see they don't have a roof, they don't have food, they don't have family, tons of them are human beings, right? Like me and you, so they deserve to have a house. So why our money is given to the Zionists? So please, I know you're tired. Sometimes I do give up, but I don't give up on God. Because in the past it showed the power of people, the revolutionary, Martin Luther King, and all the revolutionary in the whole wide world, they start with one, and they start calling them terrorists. They start to calling them terrorists.
Takbir!
They start
Takbir!
They start to calling them terrorists. But we're not listening to any of the government says until they straighten up their act. And Kamala, I'll tell you from now, you lost my voice. By you had something to do with that $20 billion. You could have went to the Biden, the one he had dementia. The one you made it up, he had dementia. You could have told them he's still not. Let's not do that. But you didn't, because your heart, Kamala, is not your color. Your heart is tar. Your heart is black. When you hear, and when you see the woman in Gaza, they give birth. When these babies, the first time in Atlanta, Georgia, we had a protest, and we had all these marchers like this, big one. I start crying because I felt their spirit. I start crying. I'm not holding a piece of cloth. I'm holding a baby, an innocent baby. I'm holding a baby. I'm holding a soul that deserves to live, the soul that deserves to have the right. An animal. Do you know they shot a donkey? 2 weeks ago, they shot a donkey. When one of Gaza people, they were carrying their stuff and they were using the donkey, they shot the donkey. So these people, the one in the government, we are all smarter than them. But we need to keep our voice louder and bigger. And when we say intifada, you know what's intifada mean in Arabic? It's mean revolution. It's mean revolution. Revolution, we don't have guns, we don't have missiles, but we have the sharp tongue.
That's it.
We have the truth. We're going to keep going around and speaking up the truth. We are not going to stop speaking up the truth. When I stood up in front of those officers, there's about 1,000 of them, and everybody I did break down. I broke down because I feel, guys, when I go to each protest, you are my kids, you are my family. Amen. I came here from Atlanta and everybody was worried about me. He said, you're going by yourself, something's going to happen. I said, I'm going to my people, my family. These are my people. When I walk backward, I know you guys going to not let me fall. Who keep us are safe, we keep our safe. So we keep our safe. So please, do not give up. It's not just about Palestine. I swear to God, we could end this in one day. Could end this in one day. He wants us to all be united. Thank you guys so much, all of you. Hallelujah. Thank you for all the organizers. Thank you for all of you, and I love you, all of you, so much.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Oh,
might as well hold that for me too. Well, my name is Rabbi Michael Ben Yosef, a human rights activist here in Chicago, and I stand in solidarity with the Palestinian community. What we have heard is a mother crying out of what they have seen, these atrocities. The atrocities of seeing loved ones murdered inhumanely. And this is a call of action. Everyone should feel a sense of empathy for these families. Empathy for their loved ones, mothers and fathers ripped to their families, little babies destroyed, for senseless acts of violence. I heard earlier someone talked about democracy. You can't talk about democracy and being a war criminal. You cannot be talking about democracy, aiding and abetting these crimes and not arresting that Netanyahu killer cop. It's calling who he is. And so I'm standing here with these families and with the Palestinians in solidarity. Black and brown, we truly understand their pain because we have been victimized for 400 years. Anybody who has been oppressed and vandalized and terrorized and racially profiled, we stand in solidarity with them because we know what it feels like to be run down with killer cops standing like a wall of a military wall. We know what it feels like of having police come into our communities. We know what it feels like of having like Sonia Macy being murdered and shot down in her own home. We know what it feels like of having supremacy and to invade our space, to not value us as human beings. So if you have a bit of a heart, if you have inspiration, hearing these families talk and hearing these sisters talk, you ought to get into these streets and shut it down. Because it's one, not in the United Center, the war is fought in the streets. And to all of us realize and understand that it's the streets that we can come together and bring a change to this world and free Palestine. That's my hope, and this is my prayer. Shalom Aleichem. God bless. Thank you so much, you all.
Thank you.
Can we get your name again, sir?
Rabbi Michael Ben Yosef, R-A-B-B-I, Michael Ben, B-E-N-Y-O-S-E-F.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Nico, do you want to talk for a minute? My voice is just like...
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Nico from Unicorn Riot. So we have the ending of this march. You saw the march, a few thousand folks. We had some connection issues in and out. So if you didn't catch the whole thing, check out our website, unicornriot.ninja. Go to the live channel. Check out this out on YouTube, Twitter, and across the social media sphere. You just heard the rabbi talking about equating the police murders, equating different folks here in America to the Palestinian issue, and talking about the solidarity between communities and how the situation of the government and the institutions of supremacy are connected. And so the police have left the perimeter. Just about a few minutes ago, 5-10 minutes ago, the police had moved themselves all the way up to the sidewalk, and then they all moved out back to the edge of the south of the park, and then they've mostly taken off. So there's still quite a few officers over there. Were we live when the ultra-Orthodox Jew folks were speaking? So we also heard from basically Jews against Zionism, and they were equating again some of these systems, systematic oppression against Palestinian people, and they were also just talking about how the Jewish religion is not really equating to the Zionism in itself. But yeah, so this march specifically was centered around Palestine, centered around Gaza. You heard a lot of the chants that were mainly specifically speaking about Gaza, speaking for Gaza. The DNC, just a few blocks away from here where the United Center is, there was a moment in the march where people stopped near the Park 578/West Haven Park, where people had got pushed out Monday. The police have blocked everybody from going into the park, but you saw people arrange themselves for blocks and yell towards the United Center, where the Democratic National Convention, I think, was convening at that point by the time they were screaming at the convention center. So, at the United Center. So that's basically the night was that. It was a lot of pro-Palestinian talk, a lot of talking about how the genocide in Gaza has been impacting people, and even here in Chicago, with one of the biggest Palestinian diasporic populations in the world here in Chicago. And you saw a lot of Palestinian flags here, hundreds and hundreds of flags, thousands and thousands of folks. And basically that's what the rally was. And so we'll see if we can gather some more interviews before we... Yeah, we could talk about yesterday, yeah. We put up some smaller videos. We haven't had a specific enlarged report on it. But last night, there was a Democrat. So during the Democratic National Convention, during any convention, there's parties. Those parties are for the delegates, for the people who come in from out of town. There was a party last night at the Salt Shed in Chicago, and John Legend headlined the party. And at that party, there was a small entourage of protesters that came outside of the party and were basically holding banners and screaming against. Yeah, you want to talk? Yeah. Do you want to talk about your sign? Make criminal Israel pay its war murder costs now. Why are you holding this sign right now?
Because we need to stop killing kids and babies and moms and all those folks.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and it's just, our tax dollars, your tax dollars are paying for murder.
So are you...
It's going to be very expensive to clean this disaster up.
That's the big question. Who's going to pay to rebuild Gaza? And I got a hunch it might be the American taxpayer.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, we always manage to get in on that kind of thing.
So do you feel there's better uses of the U.S. taxpayer dollar?
Yeah, a lot better uses.
If we must spend it on military, send it to Ukraine.
Okay.
That's more.
So you would be okay with that?
I would be okay with that. I think we're spending far too little on Ukraine.
Okay.
They're willing to bleed for us, and all we have to do is give them some bullets. That's
we there's terrorism in this country all the time. I mean, 25,000 murders a year here. Like every other week, we have 1,000 murders.
No.
25,000?
No,
how many?
there's
20?
about a few hundred. Okay.
Murders?
Yeah. There used to be more, but in the 80s. No. In Chicago? No.
No, not in Chicago. I'm talking about the whole country.
Oh, the whole country. No, there's about 30,000 a year.
Okay, see?
War numbers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. We have terrorists all over this country. There's a lot of bad people in America. There's a lot of dumb people in America, too. So, I don't know, So anyway, but we don't go bomb their neighborhoods and stuff. Think about it.
You from Chicago?
Of course. Yeah.
How do you feel about having the DNC here?
Wonderful. We should have it here every 4 years.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, we got great hotels, nice weather, and we're lucky. It's 70 degrees. We have great places to protest, demonstrate. We're used to this. I mean, Abraham Lincoln was selected here.
Our mayor was favorable to this. He supports protests and freedom of speech, but obviously they have to protect the out-of-towners. They want the out-of-towners, some of whom are scared just walking down the street even when nothing's going on. So they have to take that into consideration.
Are you a Democrat or Republican?
I'm like every American should be, right down the friggin' middle. Hate Republicans and hate Democrats, and just work on issues and policy.
How about you?
Bernie Sanders, liberal, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to pick him anytime in the near future. He was on TV. He gave a great speech last night.
Can you talk about what you've seen this week? Can you talk about what you've seen this week? How do you feel about, has the message been getting to the delegates and to the party? What have you seen?
I think it's been refined, and it's pretty much, stop funding wars in Israel and bombing and killing kids.
The message has been going on for months, okay? So anybody that's in that hall or anybody in America must have seen the message by now, and you just have to take your side. I think the pattern, not just here but in other countries I'm hearing, is the people are sympathetic to the Palestinians. The governments have sympathy for Israel. So what are you going to do? hopefully influence the government.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing.
Are you from Chicago as well?
I am. Okay.
You're from
Goodbye.
Wisconsin.
Well, I went to school in Wisconsin for a while, but then I graduated from a different Big Ten school here.
I'm a rebel.
Were you around in '68?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was. I was a young man. I put on a nice sports coat and a tie, and I just walked, anywhere I wanted. They didn't bother me. I didn't look like a hippie. So
They being?
The police, the security people. I walked all over the Hilton Hotel. The only place I couldn't get in was the room where Humphrey was going to give his acceptance speech. The Secret Service stopped me there. But other than that, and I went across the hall, and there was a group of people trying to set up a third party for McCarthy. Okay, because they didn't want Humphrey. So it was fun. It was great. I'm thinking tomorrow I may put on a suit and tie and get some of my old credentials and see if I can slither in if there's a crowd, I don't know. Sometimes that works. What's that?
May I offer you some water?
Oh.
Movement Elder?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That'll be good.
The original red teamer, right?
Red teamer. What's the red team?
Well, I'm a security expert, and red teaming is when you probe security systems to see.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, there's a lot of security here, but there's a lot of people going in and out. I've seen a couple of famous journalists that I know going in and out, and we had a big parade here of blue light vehicles, probably. Clinton or Waltz going to speak. They're going to speak tonight. I don't.
Okay.
You guys know what the schedule is? I don't know.
No, not
I
from
don't
inside
know
the
schedule.
convention, no.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, it'll be on at midnight, and then it'll be on again at 3 in the morning. So nobody will miss the convention unless they want to, if they're willing to stay up and wait for it.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Anything else you'd want to talk about?
Other than the U.S. is taking the wrong side as far as I'm concerned in this Gaza war. I know Israel is an important ally, but they depend more on us than we on them. And somehow they've got us convinced that we depend on them. So they definitely should be not just asking Netanyahu to back down, telling him to back down. Stop the weapons flow. Stop the economic aid. Israel has a per capita GDP equivalent to most of the stronger Western European countries. They're not a poor nation anymore. They don't need a lot of help. They may need a few weapons now and then that are specialized, but they don't need economic help. I think Germany and UK are maybe the only Western European countries with higher per capita GDPs. You might want to check that, but they're right up there. So they don't need that much aid.
You guys got any questions about Chicago?
I got another question about politics and money. Money. Are you okay with money in politics? Of
course not. That's ruined this country.
Really?
That's probably one of the reasons, right? For corruption.
Yeah.
I mean,
getting rid of money in politics would be great if we could do it, but the people who there want it. Because
money goes from here to Israel, and then they give kickbacks to all our politicians.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Corruption, American corruption. If Harris
Yeah,
does one thing, she should do that. Get rid of as much corruption and money in politics as possible.
Okay, a question on Chicago. Yeah. The new mayor you mentioned. How are you feeling?
Johnson.
How are you feeling about Brandon Johnson?
I want to give him a chance. I think he's relatively inexperienced as in the political field, but he's certainly very liberal. The strong liberal groups supported him. That's how he won. Okay. We'll see what he's able to accomplish. He's got 4 years.
Are you hopeful?
I'm hopeful. He's a very good speaker. He's obviously motivated to do things, to help Chicago.
We used to have a reputation for murders, and we do have, just like Paris or London, Chicago's almost the same size. They have ghettos and stuff, and a lot of the murders happen in those neighborhoods.
They don't have as many murders as we do, unfortunately.
No, you know what? They have rough neighborhoods there. So does New York and Philadelphia, but usually downtown, we get a bad rap. Downtown in the north half of Chicago, usually it's kind of rare to have a murder.
Do you feel like if there was some of these tax dollars you're talking about coming back into Chicago, that might some of these neighborhoods might not have some of those issues?
Well, we got to put in more commercial businesses in, the Amazons and the warehouses and the high-paying jobs. Heck, Panda Express pays $21 an hour. You want to go? Let's go work there.
Google is in the process of rehabbing the old State of Illinois building. Are you guys from Chicago or not?
I'm not, no.
Oh, the State of Illinois building, a beautiful architectural work built maybe 20, 30 years ago. They're totally rehabbing it. Google is.
Are you excited for that?
And I am, yeah. I guess that's going to be their Midwest headquarters. Okay. It's right downtown on Randolph and between Clark and LaSalle. And it's so there are a lot of the companies moving in. The economy is not that bad in Chicago as compared to some other places, because we were not as much of a manufacturing town anymore. We're more of a white-collar town, and with banking and insurance companies and such as that. Although there's still some manufacturing, but you know, as everybody knows, a lot of that's been going across the border anyway.
Sweet. One last question, bringing it back to the political world. Are you going to vote in this upcoming election, and who are you going to vote for?
Well, I'm going to vote in this upcoming election. I'm thinking of writing in Bernie Sanders, because it doesn't matter. As I told some other people, we live here in Illinois. Effectively, our votes don't count, because Illinois is going blue. You know that. You know, like New York, California. Our vote will not make a difference. I've never voted for the major candidate because I knew that. I voted for Jill Stein one year, and I don't remember who I voted for in the other years. But maybe Bernie Sanders this year. Now, if my vote would make a difference, of course, I'd vote for Kamala Harris. Okay. And I've given some thought, but it's a little more trouble than it's worth, to changing my address. I have lots of family and friends up in Wisconsin, which is not, 50, 60 miles north, and becoming a resident of Wisconsin for the election, because that vote will make a difference. Okay.
Interesting.
And those of us, people here in Chicago who are interested in politics and want to make a difference, will convoy up. I've done this several times to Wisconsin to do canvassing and things like that,
okay.
or phone banking. Of course, now you can phone bank. I phone bank out to the state of Washington for a congresswoman out there a few years ago. You can do that now. It's very easy, and yeah, a lot of people have been up to Wisconsin several times, been to Iowa, and been to Indiana, because there's more of a chance your vote's going to make a difference out there. Except, the local elections, of course, you canvass locally, but for the national, you go around to the states where it's going to make a difference, and they're close. It's easy to do.
All right. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Kind of do the outro. You want to hold this? All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We're gonna go take it down in a minute. We really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Today is the 21st of August. This has been the third day of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, here in Union Park. So the pretty large march. It was like thousands of people. Didn't really have a permit. It left out of here, went down Washington, and turned up a little bit, and then came back down on Lake. We saw a little bit of odd police action in one of the transit stations on Lake today. Also, as Nico said, we were at the Salt Shed, which was a large party. All the delegates were basically dropped off at this party, and there was a noise demo. And it seemed to us as we were watching that I think that the noise demo that was talking about the human rights violations in Palestine, it seemed like it really did reach a lot of delegates. So that was a good example of like the type of demo. And I think we were basically almost the only press that covered that. So we've been trying to get out there to the different events, show what's going on. Also, last night we were at the demo outside the Israeli consulate at the Accenture Tower downtown. There were about 70 arrests. We had that on the live stream. That was a fairly intense situation. We've also been posting up lots of clips. Obviously, data has been limited in the large crowd, so we're going to keep pushing out those video clips for everybody. We really appreciate you sharing our work. If you go to unicornriot.ninja/donate, you can help support independent media, 501c3 nonprofit. We're not a partisan organization. We're a nonprofit. We just try to show people what's been going on. So I'll just say before we go down that there's still a few people out here. There's still a few media. For the most part, the crowds have headed out. And today, apart from what we saw at the transit station, it didn't look like there was any arrests, but the police did keep people out of the park that which had been the site of a rally on Monday, where people dismantled parts of the fence. We were able to kind of see and document on Monday how people got into the fence over at that park, which is a little bit west of here. So we're going to keep bringing you tomorrow around 5 o'clock. There's going to be another big march. I think it probably starts right here. And so we're definitely going to bring you that, as well as any of these other sort of pop-up events. You know, people have been kind of grabbing mics out at different like delegate events, that kind of thing. So, you know, we're going to keep trying to bring that to you. We know that like some stuff happened outside where the Colbert show was being filmed. Pelosi was there. There were street demonstrators there last night. That was another thing we heard. So people have been popping up. People have been coming out to different things out here. There's been a lot of different groups, and obviously not everyone's all on the same page when it comes to politics. A lot of times, you know, activists and protesters don't agree about everything. But you know, Palestine and the human rights issues around Palestine has definitely been the major issue driving protests out here for each day of the DNC, because the White House, which is controlled by the Democratic Party, has obviously been signing off on those Israel policies and not usually blocking what Israel does when it violates human rights in Palestine. So that's been the principal issue among the demonstrations. So again, tune into, you know, share our work on social media as well. That's really appreciated. You know, search Unicorn Riot, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, Facebook, Mastodon. We're always adding more social media services. We really appreciate your support, sharing our work around, and you know, letting people know about the kind of work that we've been doing. We've just been trying to talk to as many people as we can out here, hearing from, you know, the speakers and doing interviews and learning. And it's been interesting to hear about what people do have hope, you know, about things changing and that kind of thing. That's been one of the questions we've been asking. So, and we've also had original contributions from Mohammed, who lives in Gaza. He's been sending us clips on a regular basis throughout this entire thing that's been going on. So we have original coverage from Palestine, as well as original material from the West Bank of Palestine coming in from other contributors. So we really appreciate that. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Chris, on the back end. Troy's also been working on this. Steve's been working on this. Alex was hosting today on the stream with me. Nico and Sean. Basically a large effort trying to bring together what is probably the most intense protest for the rest of the year. We wanted to try to bring that to you, get that across to you, the dynamics and the messages and everything like that. So thank you all for tuning in. Maybe as we wait to go down, we can just sort of show the few people behind us, and we'll just take the stream down. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate all your support, everyone, today. Thank you. Let me just point it over here. There's just a few people out over here as the stream goes down. Thank you. There's some bike police along the south side of the park as well. Thank you, everyone. My phone. Looks like Chris got it. Should I cut this? Again, thanks for all tuning in. Thanks for sharing our work, everyone. Appreciate it. Share Unicorn Riot. Yeah.